Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning. It is Wednesday. What date in December are we today, Mila?
We are the 6th of December.
The 6th of December. Is that fantastic? We are now our third week into
We're our fourth week.
It's our fourth week.
Yeah.
Sorry, Peggy. See, I'm confused with the time. So in our fourth week of our yoga challenge for Christmas. I hope you're enjoying it. Love to hear from you. We've had so many of you join. It's been fantastic. And also, I feel very privileged that you have come to join us in the morning. And lots of you are doing it on record as well. So you're equally welcome. Whatever way you're doing it, it's fantastic to have you stretch out with myself and Mila any time of the day or night
100%.
or morning.
Yes.
So we're now in the first week of Christmas yoga.
We are.
We are indeed, Mila. Where's our Christmas decorations?
We're getting there.
You promised me next week we'll have some Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but every time I mention Christmas decorations, my children skip out of the house. They're just not available.
Christmas decorations causes family fights.
I wouldn't say fights, but it's just like, I go, where is everybody? I get the tree and no one's around to decorate it. It's the same every year. So hopefully this year I'll have some help.
Yeah, no, you will.
And the next
you always have help.
And the next time, Mila, we do the yoga.
There might be a Christmas tree.
I don't know about the Christmas tree, but there certainly will be a something here.
Fireplace.
So check your message there, Mila. I think just want to double check we've got the sound right and that you can all enter the yoga before we start.
Sounds good.
For this, all good?
All good.
So for this wake up morning session with Mila.
Absolutely.
Shake your body, feel revived, get ready for a gorgeous Wednesday. So I'm get myself ready here, take off my slippers.
So today I'm just going to have these two blocks here with us today. Again, a lot of you probably don't have these at home, but if you have books nearby, you can take books. Not needed, but I'm just going to have them so that you can see what they can do and help you with throughout the class if you want to take them with you too. Next week's class, again, you can use books or things that are of equal height. Or you can also grab some blocks. You can get them in Tiger, and I think they're €2 in Tiger. So in case you...
Or you could also ask Santa Claus.
Yeah, or you can ask Santa Claus, exactly. So we're going to begin in a seated position, a comfortable seated position. If you do have a block, actually, I can show you. A block is really good to slide underneath your bum, and you just sit over the edge of it. And it allows your knees to be lower than your hips. And it allows your hips to be more open whenever you're sitting. So it's quite comfortable if you have tighter hips to sit on a block. Or you can also sit on a cushion. Or alternatively, you can sit like this on a block, which is also nice, with your shins down on the mat.
So Mila, a lot of people consider the yoga stance to be
lotus pose.
A lotus pose, but it's very hard.
It is quite hard, yeah. It's a big hip opener. And it can be challenging. So like take it in whatever way works for you. And like for some people that might mean that they sit like this.
Okay.
You know, with one leg in, one leg out. Or also a wide diamond pose where you're making a diamond shape with your legs.
So is the purpose of this to open your hips?
Well, no. It just is a hip opener.
Challenge us.
So you want your body to be nice and strong in a seated position like this. So you've got one line of energy. So the idea is whenever you start in a pose like this, it's like a meditation pose. And you have one straight line of energy through your body that things can pass through. So everything is in line. So actually, in this seated position, we'll just kind of adjust ourselves to be sitting in the most optimal seat. So if you are on your bum and your legs are in a lotus, tucking your tailbone a little bit so that your spine is nice and straight and long, making your chin parallel to the floor, and almost imagine like there's something pulling from the crown of your head up to the sky, pulling you up, making your spine long, placing your palms either face down on your knees. Palms face down symbolizes bringing energy inward. And then palms, or reserving energy, and palms facing up is bringing energy to you. So if you feel like you might need a little bit more of something this morning, maybe placing your palms up, you have one up and one down, both down, doing whatever you think feels good for you. Maybe just rolling your shoulders down your back, pinning your shoulders down your back here. Making sure that you're not wearing your shoulders as earrings. I'm just trying to close down the eyes and soften the gaze. I want to open our practice today with something that might be a little bit weird to do for some people, but I'm going to open it with 3 rolling ohms, chanting rolling ohms. So we're going to exhale all of that air from our lungs, and we inhale for Om, inhaling, filling up. Om. Breathing in and out through your nose. I find that you can take deeper breaths, fuller breaths. You're oming there. We usually do in our morning practices. I want you to set an intention for this practice today. I also want to maybe offer up a dedication that you could give for this practice. Because sometimes, you know, it can be really good to dedicate your practice to someone or something. It doesn't have to be any sort of higher power. It can be dedicating your practice to your dog or your mum or your friend, or maybe somebody who needs the energy from the practice. And especially whenever you're getting up early on a Wednesday morning, or whenever you're watching this, it can be quite, you know, you've got a lot. You have to be very dedicated to do it. And maybe this morning you're sitting here on your mat and you're thinking, I want to be in bed. So maybe just for this practice today, you can dedicate this energy of this practice to somebody else to really help you throughout the whole entire flow this morning. For example, you compare the intention and the dedication. So it could be, I am strong for my friend. I am calm for my mother.
I'm patient for my daughter.
You can pick your own dedication and intention, or you don't have to. You can dedicate your practice to yourself as well, absolutely. And you can pick an intention that resonates with you today, something that you might need. Maybe you settle on that, feeling it with a loud sigh out of the mouth. Thinking, open your eyes whenever you're ready. Good morning.
Good morning, my darling.
On your next inhale, we're going to drop our right hand down to the mat, or down to the floor even.
I've got to come out of this seat first.
Yeah, come out of the seat. Dropping your right hand down to the floor, reaching your left arm up high to the sky. As you exhale, you fold to your right side body, bending your elbow here, your right elbow as much as you need to, and trying to keep that sits bone grounded on the mat. So getting a nice side body opening here in this stretch. Warming up the back, warming up your arms. As you inhale, we're going to come back through center, and I want you to walk your fingertips out in front of you. I want you to just stretch that lower back and those hips out, allowing your forehead, if it can, come down to the mat. Let it rest on the mat. And holding for a couple of breaths here.
Coming to a comfortable challenge, not pushing yourself too far, but being comfortably challenged. On your next inhale, coming back through center. And this time we're going to switch out those legs. So if you had your left leg in front, put your right leg in front, or vice versa. Dropping your left hand down to the mat. Inhaling with your right arm up high to the sky. And as you exhale, you fold into that left hand. So bringing all that weight into your left hand, making sure that sits bone is still nice and grounded to the mat, and feeling that opening here in your ribs and your side body. You feel that opening? Inhaling back through center. And we're going to walk our hands out in front of us again with this opposite crossed leg, stretching into our hips, walking our hands out, breathing in and out through the nose. Full deep inhales, long, smooth exhales. On your next inhale, coming all the way back up to a seated position, and we're going to come into our tabletop. So, having our wrists below our shoulders, our knees below our hips, in this tabletop position, we're going to flow through our cat-cows. So we inhale, we drop our belly, we lift our chin, we lift our chest, and allow our heart to pull through our shoulder blades. Or sorry, not our shoulder blades, our front shoulders.
Could be changed.
Yeah. As you exhale, you round your spine, you push that mat away from you. You tuck your chin to your chest. Inhaling, dropping your belly, lifting your chin, lifting your chest, lifting your gaze. As you exhale, rolling your spine, pushing that mat away from you, coming into your cat pose. And closing down the eyes here. Yourself. Maybe making a few circles with the hips. I really encourage intuitive movements in your cat cows. So doing whatever feels nice for you. You do one thing on one side, making sure that you do it on the other. Rolling out those wrists, rolling out those hands. Taking your last couple of breaths here in these cat cows. And you next exhale, finding stillness in that tabletop position again. Walking your hands, one hand print out in front of you. Lifting your hips up high to the sky and coming into our downward facing dog. So this is our first down dog of class. So making sure that you really bend your knees, feel into your body here. There's no pressure to be stagnant in this down dog. Just really warming up your whole entire body. Allowing your sits bones is your bum, basically. Your bum to be high to the sky. Your all 10 finger pads are pressing into the mat. And you're breathing full, deep inhales. Making sure that you're not scrunching by your shoulders, which is really common. I'm just going to tuck this back for you. I'm actually just going to show. Just going to show you're very good with your shoulders here. It's very common that people can like kind of almost squish their head to their shoulders, which can put a lot of pressure on your shoulders in a downward facing dog. Taking our last couple of breaths here. Looking towards our fingertips and tiptoeing those toes to the top of the mat. Holding all the way over your legs, bending your knees as much as you need to here to have a belly to thigh connection. On your next inhale, coming up halfway, straightening those legs, allowing your spine to become parallel to the mat, your gaze down. As you exhale, you come all the way back down. I'm going to flow through a couple of those. Inhaling, coming halfway. These are like mini sun salutations, saluting the sun. Exhaling, coming all the way down. Inhaling up halfway. Flat back. Exhaling all the way down. On your next inhale, I want you to come all the way up, sweeping those arms up high to the sky, really rooting those feet into the ground. As you exhale, hands through heart center. And bring your palms to face the front of the room, coming into Tadasana. So the palms are down by your side. Your spine is nice and long. Maybe closing down the eyes. And feeling into your feet here. Feeling that grounded rootedness in your feet. On your next inhale, reaching those arms up high to the sky, sweeping them up. And exhaling, folding all the way down. Inhaling for your halfway lift. As you exhale, planting your hands down to the mat, stepping your right leg back and your left leg. Your wrists are below your shoulders. You're up in a plank position. You can always drop your knees here. We're just going to hold this plank position for a couple of breaths, warming up your core. Taking 3 full inhales and 3 full exhales. Last breath here, inhaling. As you exhale, dropping your knees down to the mat, allowing your chin and your chest to come down to the mat, keeping that bum lifted. And as you exhale, rolling your belly down, coming up to Cobra pose. So Cobra isn't the full expression of an upward facing dog. Cobra is a little bit more engaged in your arms. So you're coming up essentially halfway. You're really pressing into your feet, pressing into your upper thighs here, and pressing into your hands. And you can really challenge yourself by lifting your hands up and see how much you're using your back and your core to stay here. Taking 1 breath here. You exhale, coming all the way back down. On your next inhale, coming up through a tabletop position and coming up into your downward facing dog. A couple of breaths, really gripping into the mat. My jumper's coming off too. Taking a couple of breaths. On your next inhale, I want you to reach your right leg high to the sky. And as you exhale, bring your knee to your nose. From here, dropping your foot in between your hands or grabbing your heel and bringing it to the front of the mat if you can't, if it's not landing properly here. On your next inhale, we're going to bring our back foot just a little bit up the mat. So like 1 footprint, and allowing your back left toe to point towards the front left hand side of your mat. So this is a warrior 1. So your foot is nice and flat and grounded here. You don't have to be on a tightrope. That can be really hard for your hips. This is a closed hip position. So our hips are square to the front of the room, almost like peeling your hips to that front of the room. A nice good bend in that front knee. Maybe you can walk at your front foot a little bit. And as you inhale, reaching those arms up, you might find that you've got this C curve in your spine, which is normal. But if you're too C'd, as in your spine is too rounded, tucking that tailbone in and making sure that you're engaging your core and you're not flaring your ribs. So almost like you're knitting your ribs together. Exactly, exactly it. And you can have your arms in a Y position. You can have them straight up and up in front of you. You can maybe even clasp those hands over your head. You're just making sure that you're not losing the integrity in your spine and hurting your spine here. This is a closed hip position, but it can feel quite difficult on your hips in terms of, it's a good stretch for your hips, although it is closed. I know, we're staying here, taking inhales here and exhales. Maybe seeing if you can bend into that knee a little bit more. Amazing. Inhaling and exhaling. Feeling that stretch in your body. And exhaling. From here, I want you to straighten that front right leg. Maybe stepping that back foot just a little bit closer. And your feet want to be about a hip width distance apart. And we're going to come into a pyramid pose. So once again, square those hips to the front of the room. Get your hands and pull your hips to face the front of your room. As you exhale, I want you to fold over. So leading with your chest, hinging from your hips,
folding over into a pyramid pose. This is a great pose to use those blocks. So I'll give them to you here. Putting the blocks by your front right foot. And if you don't have blocks, you can just hold on to your shin here, or you can keep your hands on your hips. And feeling that stretch in your hamstring, feeling that opening in your lower back. As you inhale, you lengthen your spine. As you exhale, you fold just a little bit deeper here. Inhaling, lengthening. Exhaling, folding down. One last time, inhaling to lengthen. Exhaling to fold. On your next inhale, bring your hands back to your hips and shifting your hips back up. From here, I want you to turn both of your feet to the long side edge of your mat. So that would be the left side for us here. Bring your feet as wide as we need to. We're going to come down into a little goddess pose. So a goddess pose is essentially a really wide squat. Our knees are in line with our toes. So where our toes point, our knees go. Squatting down, bringing your hands up into like a goalpost shape here. Maybe bringing your thumb and your first finger together, keeping your gaze lifted and just breathing. This is a really, 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 really good leg workout. And also it's a hip opener. This whole class we're doing some hip openers. Inhaling here. As you exhale, I want you to go a little bit deeper. Inhaling to lengthen. Exhaling a little bit deeper. Inhaling to lengthen. Exhaling a little bit deeper. On your next inhale, coming all the way up and out. Wonderful. Pointing your front right toes to the front of the mat. Cartwheeling your hands back down to the mat. Coming into that plank position. And coming down, knees, chest, chin. Inhaling this time to your upward facing dog. So all the way up. And exhaling into that downward facing dog. Holding here for 3 breaths. Really finding length in your back body. So finding length in your legs, length in your spine, pushing that mat away from you, and having your gaze towards your back toes maybe, just so you keep that length in your spine, exactly. And gripping into all 10 fingers here, holding onto that mat. Nice straight back. 2 more breaths here. One more. On your next inhale, we're going to reach that left leg high to the sky. As you exhale, bringing that left knee to your nose and planting or dropping that left foot in between your hands. Once again, you can grab your ankle and bring it to the front of the mat if your foot didn't land the first time. From here, we're going to bring our back right leg, stepping it up a tiny bit closer to the front foot. Not too close, but close enough. And not standing on that tight rope once again. So allowing space for your hips. Having your back right toes pointing towards the front right of your mat. Your hips are nice and square to the front of the room. There's a nice bend in that front knee. And maybe reaching those arms up high to the sky. If you find that there's a C curve here, once again, tucking your tailbone, finding length in your spine, and making sure that you're not flaring your ribs out. So knitting those ribs together. Almost a good indication for this is turning your pinky fingers together. So that kind of rounds your ribs and a little bit of a rounding of the spine. But you still have length here. Taking a couple of breaths, really grounding and rooting into that back foot. So putting so much weight into that back side of your foot. It's an amazing warrior one. You're very welcome. On your next exhale, I want you to straighten that back leg. Straighten your front leg, bringing that back right leg up a tiny bit and squaring those hips once again to the front of the room, bringing your hands to your hips and shifting forward here, coming into your pyramid pose on this side. So leading with your chest. Bring your hands down to the mat if you can, or to the blocks, or maybe onto your front shin and feeling that opening in your hamstring. You want your back to be so nice and flat. So squaring those hips here, putting equal weight into both of those hips. You could almost balance a teacup on your back. And you can bring your hands to your lower back, and you'll feel if you're out of alignment here, and maybe you need to shift your weight into your right leg, into your left leg, finding that alignment so that you can balance your teacup. Taking a couple more breaths here. Inhaling, you lengthen. And as you exhale, you fold a little bit deeper. Inhaling to lengthen. And exhaling to fold. On your next inhale, we're going to roll ourselves up, bringing your hands back to our hips, hinging our hips back up, and turning our toes to the long side edge of your mat on this side, so the right-hand side. This time, what we're going to do is I'm going to actually face you, but it doesn't really matter which direction you're in, to be honest. So we're going to bring our toes almost a little bit pigeon-toed. So bringing our toes parallel to each other, or our feet parallel to each other, and then trying to tuck our toes in just that little bit more. From here, bringing our hands to our hips. And we're going to hinge our hips like we did in the pyramid pose there. So pushing your hips back, 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 back till they can't go back anymore. And maybe bring your hands down to the mat. You might want to walk your feet out a little bit more once you get here. And just allowing your head to become heavy, your neck to become heavy, and really feeling that stretch in your thighs, in your hamstrings. Taking full inhales. And we're trying to imagine like we're getting the crown of our head down to the mat. Now this takes a long time to get there. So just imagining it though. Imagine like gravity's pulling you down towards your mat. Taking your last 2 breaths, inhaling and exhaling. On your next inhale, we're going to come up halfway. So bring our fingertips to the mat halfway. This time we're going to bring our hands to our hips in this pose, and we're going to hinge our hips all the way up. This is to make sure that we keep our spine in nice alignment. We don't just throw our bodies up. Be gentle with your body, exactly. From here, we're going to turn our toes to the front of the room. We're going to cartwheel our hands down, coming into that plank position. No, you're on the right side. I just changed direction for you. So cartwheeling your hands down. Yeah, your left leg is bended here. Coming into your plank position. Dropping your knees, dropping your chin, dropping your chest, keeping that bum nice and lifted. Inhaling to your upward facing dog. Exhaling into your downward facing dog. Taking a cleansing breath. Inhaling, filling up, and exhaling out of your mouth. From here. From here, I'm going to challenge you. And if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you don't have to do it. But we'll all meet in the Malasana Yogi squat. And the challenge here will be looking towards your fingertips, bending your knees as much as you need to. So coming onto your tiptoes and really bending your knees and hopping with your feet wider than your mat, coming into that Malasana Yogi squat. So your elbows are pushing into your inner knees. Your knees are pushing into your elbows. Your spine is nice and straight and long. Amazing. Your spine is nice and straight and long. And trying not to be on your tippy toes, which happens quite a lot. This is another great time, if you are on your tippy toes, to take those books or those blocks. And you can put them underneath your feet here to give you some extra room, once again, in your hips. But if you don't have blocks or you don't have books that you can use and your heels are up, just walk your feet out even further. Walk them out, and your heels will be able to come down to the mat. So try not to keep too much of a narrow stance. You can be as wide as you need to here. And just closing down the eyes. This is a good pose for stimulating digestion. Your hands are in prayer pose, and they're being pressed together by your inner knees and thighs pressing into your elbows. Amazing. Your next exhale, we're going to drop down onto our bums to Plopasana. So just falling all the way down into our bums and coming into a seated position here. We're going to do a little leg rock. So opening up our hips once more. So extending that left leg long out in front of us, pulling the flesh away from our hips, bringing our right foot And right shin up towards our chest. So bring it up towards our chest here. And I want you to put the sole of your foot into the inside of your bicep here. And I think you can do it now. Yeah. There, exactly. Just like that. And wrapping your right arm behind your knee here and trying to clasp your arms and just rocking your hip here. It's a little bit more of a fun. It's rocking a baby. Your leg is your baby. It's a more of a fun way to do like a figure 4 position. Okay. But if you can't, if this is too much for you, you can do a figure 4 where your foot is planted here on the mat and you bring your knee out and down. Okay, you can stick to the figure 4. Exactly like that. And you can come onto your back and if you need an extra stretch here, and pull your shin towards your chest. And I'm going to stay up here rocking my baby. Taking your last couple of breaths. And on your next exhale, releasing whatever leg you have, exactly, just like that. And then coming into the opposite side. So if you're doing what I'm doing, you're bringing your shin towards your chest. You're bringing the sole of your foot towards your right bicep. And you're wrapping your left arm around your knee and rocking your leg. And if you're doing what Fiona is doing, she's bringing her foot to her knee. Her shin should be nice and parallel. So pushing the knee. I'm just going to drop your hands here. Sorry. So pushing that knee to become nice and straight and parallel. If you can. If you can. And if you can't, then don't pull your knee towards your chest. If you can't, then don't pull your knee towards your chest because you need to stretch into that hip before you pull the knee to your chest. So just keeping the integrity of the pose. And just pushing that knee away from you, opening up to your hip, rocking your baby. Take your last couple of breaths here. And on your next exhale, releasing both of your legs down. If you're sitting up, coming down slowly onto your backs, rolling your spine down. And we're going to come into that final resting pose, which is Shavasana. Before we come into Shavasana, I want you to pull your knees into your chest. Just give yourself a big, huge squeeze. Taking the fullest inhale that you've taken all day. Flying out of the mouth. Inhaling, filling up. And the next exhale, releasing that whole entire body down to the mat, down to the floor. Rolling your shoulders down your back. Your palms are facing up to the sky. Shavasana. Closing down the eyes and soaking in all that goodness from your practice today. Life is amazing. And then it's awful. And then it's amazing again. And in between the amazing and awful, it's ordinary and mundane and routine. Breathe in the amazing, hold on through the awful, and relax and exhale during the ordinary. That's just living. Heartbreaking, soul healing, amazing, awful, ordinary life. And it's breathtakingly beautiful. Taking your next inhale that little bit deeper. Again, moving your fingers and your toes, your wrists and your ankles. Taking a big stretch over your head. Keeping your eyes closed and your gaze inward, rolling onto your favorite side. Laying here for a moment.
Remembering that intention and that dedication that you set at the start of class. Whenever you're ready, with your eyes closed, finding yourself in a comfortable seated position on your mat.
Bring your hands into prayer pose, the center of your chest. Giving yourself thanks for showing up this morning or today, coming onto your mat, practicing for you, maybe dedicating that practice to somebody else. And just taking this time out of your day to look after yourself. Bring your thumbs to your third eye, lifting your chin, the sky. You exhale, folding over your legs. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I love you. That was so nice.
Great.
Guys, thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think there was some more challenging moves.
Absolutely. A little bit of a challenge there. I'm getting you guys ready for Christmas.
That child rocking pose was probably quite challenging for people. I mean, you let me know.
Yeah. So we're really, because we can't see anything. We're seeing a screen here. We're talking to ourselves. So do send us an email and give us some feedback, or text us on Instagram at Unison Clubs, and let us know how you're liking the classes. If there's anything that you want to see in particular, if there's anything that you want to try, and just give us some feedback.
So we've got 2 more sessions of yoga before Christmas.
Yes.
And so, you know, we want to hear from you. Whatever you want us to do, whatever type of style of yoga you like, Mila hopefully can accommodate. Less of the child fiddling poses. I thought that was hard to do, but then again, I am not very open in my hips. But Mila, some of those poses are tricky, but it was a really invigorating session, and I definitely feel woken up, and I feel alive, and I feel brilliant, and I loved your poem at the end. It actually made me want to cry. It's so sweet. It's so lovely.
Yeah, it's a nice
so Mila, I just want to ask you a question, and you know, if anybody's staying on, you might be interested in yoga mats, because how important is it? Most people at home wouldn't have a yoga mat for yoga. Like, what can you do instead?
To be honest, like it's I think a yoga mat is quite important if you want to do yoga. If you're taking these classes over the next 6 weeks, you don't have to go out and get a yoga mat. But if you want to start bringing yoga more into your life, I think a yoga mat is quite important, and you can do your at-home exercises and stuff on it. And there are some amazing yoga mats. Yoga mats can be quite expensive though. So what you kind of want to look for in a yoga mat as well is that it's nice and grippy. So some mats, you'll find yourself, everybody is so different, but me personally, I actually get quite sweaty palms whenever I do yoga. So my palms end up slipping on mats. So I need a nice grippy mat that kind of accommodates, like whenever it gets wet, it actually gets grippier. And there are a couple of mats that are great. There's a Manduka mat, and the mats are about like 60 to 70 euro. So it's an investment if you want to keep doing yoga, or if you want to do your at-home exercises.
So if you want us to send you any tips on that, we can do that. If you want, just send us an email to hello@unislim.com. And we'd be delighted to share any tips on mats, because I find also, you know, if you're doing it on the floor, you'll be finding it more difficult to go into poses.
Absolutely.
And
you can sometimes hurt yourself as well, because you can catch yourself. Like if you're doing it on a wood floor, for example, like whenever you're bringing your foot up, you can, like, you know, you're basically stubbing your toes.
So if you haven't been able to do some of the poses, it ain't you, it's the mat. So listen, I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in again today. Friday morning at 9:30, I'll be doing another exercise session with Luca, and that's going to be more sort of fitness focused exercise, which will be more of a hit, but it's brilliant, really effective, and you're going to feel absolutely amazing afterwards. But thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you for yoga again next Wednesday morning at 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Turn it off.